Greetings everyone! We begin our video presentation of the Universal Access Management System, built with the help of microservices and Mantl.io technology stack. The use of the word universal here is not coincidental. Most, if not all, businesses nowadays heavily rely on their IT infrastructure, starting from basic user authentication systems to complex tools of trade required to automate business processes. This means that every employee needs to have access to a certain subset of IT systems within their company. Setting up these accesses and permissions for each individual is always a tedious task, which gets more complicated the larger company is and the more it is concerned about security. Simplifying this process for any company is the idea behind the presented UAM system. We want it to be universally adaptable to any IT infrastructure imaginable. For this particular implementation, we have chosen several IT systems considered to be the most popular in the software development industry: Active Directory, Google Apps, Git, and Jira. The challenge for us was to build UAM in such a way that in capable hands it could be easily extended to any number of systems, both third-party and in-house made, utilizing the full potential of microservice architecture. So let's start the demo. In the video, we will go over the application, the elements of its interface and functionality. We will create a new user, and we will create a user in Jira using our application. I already opened an instance of Jira and the user management screen to be able to show it to you. Our application consists of three screens. The first one is the user list, which is basically the list of all employees in your company. The second one, audit, shows all the actions which have been done to every employee in this system. And finally, the application settings, where you can organize and create templates of permissions and accesses to each of the systems included in the application. To start, let's create a new user. I will type my name in. I will assign myself a unique ID, and I will type my email. When I press save, the entry for myself will be created here. I can see the general information, which is the prerequisite of creating a user in every system. On the right, I can see the list of all applications currently present in our system. First, I will choose Jira here, and I can see the button Create Account. Now, I will show you that there is no account under my name here in Jira right now. So now if I go back here and I press Create Account, I have an ID, I have my email and the name. Now I can reload Jira. And you can see that my account appeared right here. So if I go back to the application, you will see that I have the new button, Delete Account. If I click it and reload Jira one more time, you will see that my account disappears. On your instance of the system, you can test yourself how it works with each of these particular applications. As the conclusion, I would like to talk a bit about the approach which we used to build this application. UAM system employs microservice architecture. Play framework and ECA toolkit were chosen to be core frameworks of the application. The actor model of ECA toolkit provides the ability to have services distributed over a network with any scale, while Play framework helps to provide a robust REST API for any type of client applications. For the web interface, Angular framework was chosen. OrientDB is used for the persistence layer, as this graph NoSQL database perfectly fits the application domain logic and the scalability and robustness requirements. Every microservice has to face common challenges, like service discovery, secure storage, common configuration storage, etc. We used Mantl not only to cover the application's needs, but also to provide facility for a user to plug additional components into the system. Draft images were used for services deployment, and so UAM is expected to be able to be deployed on any Mantl-related environment. In order to ensure good application stability, we used Mesos and Marathon. These tools provide immediate recovery of the system in case of a failure. Based on our prior experience, we decided to go with a microservice per domain entity with shareless approach. This means that most of the business entities have their own dedicated microservice. Examples would be user service, Active Directory module, Jira module, etc. While service schemas could be very similar, they are not shared among them. To dive deeper, most of the functionality is separated with the actors, which provide even greater granularity that could cover extra requirements for the distributed application, for instance running specific microservices on separate hosts. The application is extensible, and with the existing Mantl technology stack, the required work to integrate new functionality is significantly reduced. If your company employs UAM application, but you need to add extra functionality, let's say a GitHub account for a private repository, you can easily extend the application by adding an additional screen on the web application and a separate GitHub microservice for the backend. When you choose a design which should enable an application to be deployed to any of the most popular modern environments like Amazon EC2, OpenStack, Google Engine, etc., you face the need to store a shared configuration for your application. It is a common occurrence that your endpoint is not static and you need reports about its changes or functionality to discover the dynamic information. To cover this part, we used Console from Mantl technology stack for both service discovery and shared configuration. Microservices know the static private address of console endpoint and share needed information with it. The secure information is stored in Vault and could be shared between different services as well. Before I move on to the UX approach, I would like to show you the components of Mantl which are fundamental in building this application. To do this, I will open the Mantl UI. Here you can see the components shown on the diagram and those which I mentioned in the video. Now, if I take Console for example, I can click on the Web UI button. It will show me the services, nodes, and if I click on the key value button here, you will see some of the services which our application uses. For instance, Jira service and user service, which I also mentioned in this video before. Now I would like to conduct a small experiment. I'll go to the Mantl UI once more, and I will open the Marathon. Here you can see all the services which our application uses. If I go to Jira account service, you will see that there are 2 nodes currently deployed for this service. If I suspend the service now and go back to our application and try to make a request to Jira, you can see that there is an error because service has been suspended. Now, if I press Scale button and I will type in a number of instances, press OK, and the Marathon will start a number of nodes for the service. If I now choose a node and I choose to kill it, Marathon will automatically restart the node of the service. Now if I go back to the application and I will choose Jira one more time, you will see that the request successfully passed and there is no unknown error here. Finally, the goal of our UX approach coincides with the goals of microservice architecture, simplicity and extensibility. The application should allow user to perform tasks quickly and accurately and to be able to trace his actions. At the same time, should the application evolve in a company's environment, user experience should not degrade or require any changes. This concludes our video on the UAM application built with the Mantl technology stack. Thank you for your attention.